Hi. I'm Jude.
wait, I already messed up. Okay, rewind it again.
Hi, you're listening to Fix It After Post. I'm Jude LaFuse.
Hi, I'm Brennan Hoyes, and this is where we connect filmmaking and the business behind it.
Yes. We are filmmakers. We have our own production company, LaFuse Entertainment. We've worked on large 100, 200 million plus films. We've made indies. We've worked on indies. We've worked on TV shows.
We do marketing and advertisement as well for corporations, businesses, all the above.
Let's get to it.
Today,
we're going to be talking about...
Trap by M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay, hit us with the synopsis.
Trap is an American psychological thriller by M. Night Shyamalan. The film follows Cooper, a Philadelphia firefighter who is secretly a serial killer known as the Butcher. He takes his teenage daughter Riley to a pop concert, unaware that the FBI has set up a trap at the venue to capture him. As the event unfolds, Cooper must navigate the heightened security and his own concealed identity to evade arrest.
Okay, so
let's dive in.
That's the synopsis. First, we got to take a stance. Do we think this was a good movie? And what are the parameters around that? Do we think
it's successful?
Yes. No, I'm gonna say.
Well, okay. The film aside, we didn't say yet. Financially, it had a production budget of $30 million and it grossed approximately $82.7 million worldwide, with a $42.8 million from domestic markets. So therefore, it made over its budget.
Well, we don't know the marketing and advertising behind it.
That's true. We do not know how much that was.
Usually, I don't know. Sometimes they do nothing, and sometimes they do the equivalent of the production budget. Sometimes they do more. So it could have made money, it could have broken even, or it could have lost money. We don't know what the production budget is. It's best to keep that thing kind of secret. So my parameters around success, because financially it's likely that they probably broke even.
Yeah, they probably broke about even.
Or they made a little bit maybe. Or they're going to make some money on the back end by selling to different streamers, yeah. So it probably financially, it's probably going to make some money. Me enjoying the movie, and I think kind of like the overall buzz around it, and kind of like expectations versus what did the audience receive, and then we'll talk about it later. But there's a hint towards a sequel, and part of the success I'm going to factor in is, do I want to see the sequel? Like, did I enjoy this one so much that I want to see the next one? For me, I'm going to say not so much. It was a very well-made movie in some aspects. Mm-hmm. I think there were a lot of highs and there were a lot of lows. Mm-hmm. Overall, yeah, I guess it kind of averages out to like a pretty good movie. So I'm going to say, success or not? I'm going to say it's mid. I'm gonna say
you said no to begin with. What changed your mind?
Well, I thought I did a little bit more processing, and I was like, you know what? Let me be fair here to the night, and let me just say that I sternly, as of right now, say that it was mid.
Yeah, I would agree. Sadly, sorry, I'm like.
Okay, so now that we're both in favor of the mid, let's go to the talking points that we have prepared. Excuse me, I scarfed down a Twix right before we started this. Talking point number 1.
Okay.
The film's unique approach of revealing the antagonist's identity early on. So before we even watch the movie...
I have so much to say about this.
We know the antagonist, right? Like, we know that he's a bad man, wasn't it, Cooper?
It was in the trailer.
Yeah.
They gave it away at the end of the trailer. They give away I want to say spoiler alert, but it's not because it's in the trailer.
It's in the trailer. I want to say like middle of the trailer.
It's like towards you get like a sense like, oh, maybe it's him, maybe it's not. And then towards the end, they like actually show him looking at the surveillance of the guy that's kidnapped like in his house.
Yeah.
At like towards the endish of the film. But a lot of the other marketing materials, like the posters and like the images that they share, it's Josh Hartnett as the main character looking like this, and it's all like red and it says trap. So it's like they're like branding it as he's the bad guy.
So going back, what do you think about, from an audience point of view, what do you think about getting knowing who the antagonist was early in a suspense film?
My initial like when I watched the trailer, my initial reaction was like, why did they give that away? Like I was kind of like upset that I now knew that. Yeah. But there was a part of me that was like, okay, it's M. Night. Like I was like scrolling through the comments and a lot of people were like, oh, if he gave this away, there must be another twist. Like there must be more layers. I was like, oh, this could be interesting. Yeah. Where like you think that they gave it away, but really like the actual twist is something else, or the POV is different, or it's actually like an interesting take on it, or whatever. I was like, so my initial reaction was like disappointment, and then it was intrigue.
So my initial reaction was watching the trailer. I was like, okay, well, I just saw the whole movie, but I did have a little bit of curiosity of like, yeah, it's the thing M. Night does. He has a twist. Mm-hmm. Sure, but I was kind of just like, what twist could possibly be earned from this? Either he's going to blow my mind or it's going to feel super cheap and unearned, and I'm just going to be like, well, that was a huge waste. So I felt like I was pretty doubtful, and I was like, no, I don't want to watch that. And so, but then we heard from like friends or something that it was like not bad.
Yes, we did.
So I was like, well, that's even more interesting because I didn't see that as an option. I saw it as a huge success or a huge fail because he told the whole story. So it's like, oh, this unknown second twist, if it exists, should be a huge success or a huge fail.
Yeah, that was...
I had in my head. And so that when we heard like, oh, it was pretty good or it was not bad, I was like, huh.
Because we watched a trailer and they gave it away in the trailer, as the movie is progressing, like past the inciting incident, there's like, my mind is being distracted with like, okay, but there's gotta be more. Like, when is like the thing gonna happen? Like, because I already knew this. Like, the inciting incident happens and now we're in the first act. And I'm like, well, I already knew that because of the trailer. So like, when's that new perspective gonna happen? When is the shift? When is like the actual story gonna start? And it never did. Like, it really is just that. Like, it really is just what it gave away in the trailer. And so I was like distracted the whole time and a little mad because I was like, I mean, yes, I would have seen it coming still, like even if they didn't give it away in the trailer, but like they didn't have to. They could have easily edited the trailer so that it was just like, oh, there's a serial killer at the concert.
Yeah.
And then go from there. Like, havoc ensues. And that alone is a very interesting premise. Mm-hmm. It plays on like events that have happened. Mm-hmm. It plays on a lot of people's fear.
So ultimately, I think like we've seen this before in other movies where we know by the midpoint, for example, that our protagonist or our main character, the person we're following, they're trying to get out. They're trying to escape. Final girl, every final girl in every scary movie, it's like we know the situation they're in and we're with them to try to get out. And this was just one way you could look at it is like this was just a little earlier than normal. And from that perspective, it was kind of like, I don't know, that kind of lowers the bad taste, I guess, if I kind of look at it that way, but that's not really my job to be like doing that.
And I mean, honestly, like, I don't know, but I do think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. Even though it's revealed so early on, I do think I would have enjoyed it if I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because it would have been at least like, oh, okay, fun. this is a shift in my perspective, let's go on the ride. Where like I entered the movie already knowing the ride, so I was like, okay.
Yeah, the ways I think we could go about this, like trying to understand like why he did it, is because either that's not what he wanted us to focus on, or he was trying to like double back, like trick us into being like, oh, they think there's going to be a trick, but there's not really. If you're gonna try to trick someone, you gotta give them something interesting that like in the movie that you haven't already given away in the trailer. Like if it's all about the twist, you got to give a twist, but we weren't given a twist.
I mean, maybe he's trying to distance himself from that. Like maybe he's not trying to be like the twist guy. And I get it.
Sure. But then like don't give the whole movie away in the trailer then.
Yeah.
So there's that, but then it's also like, okay, what if he was not trying to focus on that? What if he was really making a bigger commentary on something else, like making a satire of it? But I just really don't think that's his style.
I mean, there were some points that like did really feel like a satire. Because the dialogue and everything was so on the nose with like what you expect, where I was like, is this trying to be a little campy? Is this trying to be a little satirical? And you kind of even get that in the trailer.
Yeah, with that, it's like when he's talking to the guy at the stand, when he goes and gets like food or something like that, and it's like singles on him and he's making that like crazy face. He's like smiling or whatever. And it's like, I was like, oh, is this a satire or something? But
then nothing else really,
It wasn't clear if it was or not. And I feel like you have to be insanely clear, not through exposition, but insanely clear through tone and some themes that your film is a satire. Otherwise, we're just going to be confused. Yeah, I think like twist or not, intentional twist or not, or double reverse back twist or not, like whatever twist-wise, taking that out of the equation, it's like we saw a trailer, we got an idea for what we were going to see in the film, and then we saw what thought we were going to see in the film. And sometimes that's good. Like you really want to know what you're going to go into. But at the same time, it's like part of the fun of watching a film is seeing all the different steps of what makes a story exciting. Like you want to know like the rise to action, like what's going on. You want to know like the finale when you're watching the movie. You don't want to know all the pieces to the puzzle before. But I mean, then again, there's like famous IP, like, you know, remakes of, I don't know, for some reason the Lion King's in my head. Like, you know, it's like there's other things where it's like, you know what's going to happen. What's another example? But
I mean, that's because like that's playing on nostalgia. That's playing on like a different medium. Yeah. And all that. Yeah, and maybe that works in different genres. I don't think it really works in, you're not seeing a lot of remake horror films. Yeah, I really want to talk to like
M. Night. You want to ask him?
Yeah, I'll call up M. Night. Or like a marketing strategist that was like a part of the film at the network or something to be like, what was the...
You almost worked on the show.
I did almost work on the show. Like... I didn't because at the time, like I was asked to work on this M. Night Shyamalan film about a concert that was going to shoot in Ohio. So I was about to work on it in Ohio and then the strikes happened. And so they took it from the States to Canada because they could continue filming in Canada while the strike was happening. So I didn't get far in the process of like learning the behind the scenes of it. Would have been very interesting to see like how it works and then also like maybe get some insight onto what the goal was or what the why that strategy and why that specific marketing campaign. Right. And I'm very curious as to like when that decision happened, if that was an M. Night decision, if that was a studio decision, if that was a while we're making a trailer decision, or if that was a decision that he had when he was writing it. Like, I really don't know. That's what I'm really interested in and like when that strategy happened because they like went in hard too. Like I said, like not just the trailer, but with all the marketing materials, the posters, the photos, the imagery, the synopsis gives it away. Like even in the synopsis, it starts off with like the film follows Cooper, who is secretly a serial killer. Yeah. So like that was like it makes it seem like it was part of the conception of the film.
I mean, it does. The only argument I could make, maybe in favor of that, is like it gives you a different perspective on this kind of situation of cat and mouse. Like you're instantly with the cat, and you're like
our protagonist is the villain.
Yeah, we are in the era of anti-heroes and stuff like that, and so we're kind of interested in seeing those. We're seeing those perspectives a lot. So maybe
maybe playing into that.
Let's ride on the anti-hero kind of thing. Let's let people know this is another anti-hero film.
What's really interesting is that, I mean, I do think by making that decision of giving away in the trailer did cause a lot of people, like, conversation about it. So like the trailer itself, it came out, the trailer came out 7 months ago. The trailer has 26 million views, and to put it into like comparison, like Alien Romulus trailer with like a giant IP, it has 12 million views. And this like original content, yes, you have M. Night attached, but M. Night is known for hits and misses, so it's not like a consistency thing, like, which also is a little thrilling, like to be like, let's see like what's gonna happen, but it did have 26 million views, and it has a lot of comments debating about if there's going to be more to this film. Oh, we gave away the whole film in the trailer. Well, this can't be it. Like, there's got to be more. Like, oh, I'm so excited to see like what happens. Or like, boo, this whatever.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's causing dialogue, and dialogue causes more views, and views causes more clicks, and more clicks causes more people to go watch the film.
Yeah.
So does that mean it was a good decision or not?
I would say no. I would stand with it. Was a big swing, and yeah, we're in the anti-hero era, but I'm a firm believer that you should interest people in teasers and trailers, and then the film should agree with what you proposed in the trailer, and then it should surpass your expectations. And our expectations were met. So that's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was more to the story technically, but did I feel more? No, not really. So I'm looking here because I want to like the movie because everything else was great. I mean, so next we're gonna talk about Josh Hartnett, and like
he's great.
He was amazing.
He's so good.
Really good. And like the cinematography was great, and the look was great.
I mean, even directing, like, M. Night Shyamalan's a good director. Yeah. Like, I'd say like his shots are interesting.
I would say like the direction was clear. You could tell from, the motivations and the dialogues and the camera movement and everything, all the storytelling elements besides the writing, where I think like was really clear and really like, oh, I know where this is going, and in a good kind of way. Like, oh, I follow. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm feeling anxious. I feel suspense. I felt all the things that I think he wanted me to feel. It was just like I was looking for more because I already felt that in the trailer. I already knew I was gonna feel those things.
Yeah, you're already like prepping yourself for the emotions.
Yeah.
That you'd be going through. And I think that's the whole point of a suspense film.
It's like you're not supposed to know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yet,
yeah, because that's where the suspense comes from.
Right. So, anyways, let's talk about Josh Hartnett for a second. What else has he been in? I really don't know. But he's really good.
He is great. Let me pull up his...
Because he has a very, like, kind of Hollywood face. It kind of reminds me of like another person that could probably take this role would be Glenn Powell.
No.
He told the same lines.
No.
A little charismatic. He's got a smile. He can.
I mean, he's too young.
Why?
Glenn Powell as a dad of like
Glenn Powell's a daddy. So if you're a daddy, you can be a dad.
Glenn Powell is a daddy.
He can be a dad. He could play a dad right now. No one would care.
No, he's too like heartthrob right now. They're gonna like roll with that for as long as.
Okay, so explain Pedro Pascal.
Well, that's like DILF. But there's different levels, dude.
All right, what's he been in?
So he was in The Virgin Suicides in 1999.
Sounds familiar.
Sofia Coppola, set in Michigan. It's a great film. Pearl Harbor, which he's like...
He was there? Wow. New respect. I have a whole new respect for him.
Yes, he was at Pearl Harbor.
Been through war.
Black Hawk Down. Sin City. So he's been in like some big stuff, but he hasn't really been in a big thing as like a lead in a while until like Oppenheimer. And then he was in The Bear for an episode, and then he led Trap. He's definitely had like a resurgence.
So he's back.
He's back,
Hashtag
yeah.
He's back, question mark? Or hashtag he's back?
I would like to say he's back. One big thing that like a lot of people were talking about with this film was like, so happy to see Josh Hartnett back, like so happy he's getting to lead a film. Like people were excited about seeing him back, seeing him in a good role. And like so that's like one thing is like people were talking about it, people were excited about it, people were commenting about it. No, he's not like as big of a name as, let's say, Jake Gyllenhaal or...
Yeah, I think we're all happy because he's good. He was good.
Could tell he was like having fun with it. Like he was like trying like he was like really in it. Like I feel like he had a lot of fun as this like serial killer.
Yeah, I think his character was consistent too. Like you could tell that he put a lot of work, I think, into his character work. So like, and I really respect that because you can see it because like it wasn't just like a believable performance, which is hard enough, but it was also like he made a lot of choices, like acting choices that were consistent. So he really had to know the character first and then bring it to set and keep it consistent throughout all the different scenes. And so I think that was why I was like, you can feel it, you can see it, you can believe it, and I'm just like, dang.
But let's say, like, what if maybe it would have caused the budget to go up, but like, let's say they hired a Jake Gyllenhaal to be the lead. Like, do you think it would have had a better box office return because he comes with a bigger audience? He has more quote unquote star power than Josh Hartnett.
I think more people would have fallen into like, oh, there's got to be a second thing, or like, oh, there's no way Jake Gyllenhaal or Glenn Powell would sign on to this if it wasn't. Oh, Glenn Powell and M. Night together, oh my God, it's gonna be the best movie of the year. Like, there's no way it can't be. And like, you know, I think that's what would have happened. And you know, at the same time, it's like, I could see other actors, you know, just not like at the very top, also taking it as first of all, it's M. Night, so you're going to want to give it a shot. Yeah. But then also it's like, let me play this very interesting role, because it's like, you have to try to get the audience to like you, or at least understand where you're coming from. At the same time, you're a very sick individual. And I think that takes a lot of, you know, what every actor wants to show range. He wants to show like, oh, I can do it all. I can do this really hard thing. And I think that's why I really respect like Josh's, the way he went about the character was he didn't try to show range. He tried to show some truth into what he thought a serial killer would really, how they would like act or how they would behave. And I think that's why I was like, that's why that's so believable. It doesn't look like,
hey, look at what I can do, or like, look at this portfolio piece I'm doing so that other directors can see it and put me in whatever.
Yeah, it didn't look like two extremes of a person. It looked like a serial killer. The influence of M. Night Shyamalan's directing style on the film's suspense. I thought the suspense was still really good. You know, the use of music and scoring and pacing, and his direction with all of Josh's direction and everything, like there's still a lot of good scenes of like, oh, what's gonna happen? Like even early on, it's like, okay, well, I know he's not gonna get like caught right now.
And maybe that's the thing too, is like, we know he's not gonna get caught, so like that suspense is gone. And then it's like, okay, we already know who the serial killer is, so that suspense is gone. So then like, what are we Like,
What are the stakes?
yeah, what are the stakes? Like, was it just him getting caught? But it's like, you know that he's not going to until at least the end of the movie.
I think what I had to tell myself the stakes were because he's establishing a nice relationship with his daughter. And so it's just like, oh, what is she going to think if she finds out?
Yeah,
like he might get away with this, but, like, he's got to get caught by somebody. So maybe it's not the authorities, maybe it's his family. And like, do they know? Are they in on it? Like, I just had a lot of questions around the family while watching it. And I think it kind of became that. And but there was, I think, great suspense elements, even though we already knew like what was going to happen. I think all the elements were still there. I still felt like anxious. I still was watching, and I still was like captivated by Josh's performance. So
I mean, M. Night is really good at that. Obviously, like there's a reason that he's still making these kinds of films.
It's good fundamentals. Yeah.
There's a reason that people will watch them, even though he has like a hit or miss track record. Like people are willing to give it a chance, willing to go see it. Like, his name is IP in a certain sense because of those elements that he can bring to the table.
You know what M. Night should do? He should write a film about him writing a film, and the twist is it good or not? It'll be a film on that, and it'll be suspenseful, and it'll be great.
That's the stakes, though. That's not the twist. The twist would be like, he's trapped in a snow globe the entire time. Or like the twist is like Truman Show, or like, that's a twist. The stakes are like whether it's good or bad.
Rephrase. Okay, so the trailer tells us that it's going to be a good movie, and then it turns out it's a flop in the story. But in actuality,
it's a great movie.
They could.
Okay, well, M. Night, take notes.
Yep.
Call us if you want us to write it.
We'll help you out if we're free. So the portrayal of a serial killer's dual life as a family man.
I mean, honestly, like, yeah, we kind of got that in the third act, but that wasn't like too much explored. I feel like maybe it would have been more successful if it was more of like a introspective of his internal battle between dad, serial killer, and whatever.
Yeah, we didn't feel a lot of like paternal sympathy to really show him as a dad. Instead, we saw more of a dad for the care that he put onto his daughter.
His daughter, yeah.
And that you definitely felt. I mean, again, the very beginning, he's super nice and playful with his daughter, and you like him. And honestly, I think that was insanely important. Another reason why I applaud Josh for like that kind of performance, because if it wasn't that good or believable, that chemistry between like him and his daughter, then oh man, I don't know if that would have been hard to watch. If that chemistry wasn't there, and I felt and I had no feelings for this character, then yeah, it'd be over. But his performance was believable, and it was like, oh, he does care about someone. Yeah. And those are the stakes for him. He doesn't want. He wants the daughter to have a good time, and he cares about the daughter, but he also cares about killing people.
What if the daughter would have found out earlier in the film?
Then I think we would have seen that kind of like paternal sympathy, like kind of like I'm really sorry, kind of a thing, maybe, because he would have had to like kind of plead or bargain with her at the place before
while they're running around or whatever.
And so I think
that could have been interesting.
You could have seen something like that there. Yeah, that could have been interesting.
Because that would kind of be a twist too, because like you're not expecting her to find out.
Right. That would have been a good.
That would have been interesting.
Good twist. Good change.
And don't give that away in the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they did. I think I'm going to say I think Josh in the direction did very well with feeling like, oh, he is kind of human, because it's a slippery slope. If he didn't genuinely show that he cared about his daughter in any way or anything other than killing, then I would be like, I don't believe this is a character. Like, serial killers, like it would feel so one-dimensional if all this character cared about was getting away and whatever.
Do you think M. Night had a say in the trailer and whether it was told in the trailer or not? Or do you think that was like all up to the studio when doing the marketing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it would be. I mean, I would be like devastated.
Yeah, I know.
If the studio or the streamer or whoever's distributing would be like, or the marketing and like, yeah, we have to give away the whole thing. I'd be like, oh God. like, no.
I would put that in my contract to be like.
Because that'd be really rough. But then again, if it was discussed ahead of time, like, hey, let's try to like really get in, like be very specific with our audience. This is what it is.
Yeah.
Then you hit it right on the nail, but it's kind of a weak nail. I don't know, it might break.
It's true.
So, so this is an interesting one. The film's commentary on law enforcement tactics and high-stakes situations. So this is one of the things where I'm thinking like, oh, maybe M. Night's really talking about something else. Maybe the focus really is about Operation Flagship. And if you're not familiar with what Operation Flagship was, it was, I don't remember when, a while ago. Let me see if I can find it, or see if Brett can find it. I don't know when, but it was when a bunch of officials in D.C., I think, invited like something like 5,000 fugitives to a baseball game or football game or something, and they
1985.
1985. So they invited a bunch of fugitives to a sporting event, and they were arresting them when they got there, and so that happened, and I believe M. Night said he took inspiration from that, and I think that's kind of just like a wild concept of like from law enforcement, like let's invite them with the public to a sporting event, and then let's see if we can trap them.
Oh, and they were like undercover personnel posing as tuxedo wearing ushers, cheerleaders, MCs, caterers, mascots, and maintenance staff.
Yeah. So can you imagine, like, you're like,
wow.
Hey, I don't know why, like, accept a random gift from the government or whoever, and then you get arrested by a mascot.
Well, they said that they had won 2 free tickets, including dinner for 2 and the use of a limousine. And then they were all arrested when they tried to claim their package at the specified location. Interesting. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of inspiration from that. And, you know, if that really was the topic that M. Night was really trying to bring to light,
do you think it would have been, if that's the message of the movie, what if we were like, should have we, whatever, been following like the detective or officer or whatever, like inside the operation?
Maybe.
From that perspective?
Yeah.
Because we didn't really care about...
I could see that being suspenseful. Like, that could be kind of interesting of like, from a detective point of view, like trying to find a needle in a haystack kind of a thing. And it's like, especially when it's one in like a group of thousands of people, it's like, that would be kind of fun, I think, to kind of like have a few, people in mind, a few people in the story.
Yeah.
And then you as the audience are like, it turns into like a whodunit.
Yeah.
And that could be kind of fun. There's a lot of games you could play with that.
But I mean, that could have happened in this movie too, even from the same POV. We just wouldn't have found out it was him being the serial killer until the like climax.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a way to do that as well, because it's like we could have feared for him because he was very likable.
Yeah.
And then we could have feared for his daughter as well. And, there's a lot of fun that could have happened with like the daughter's like friends or whatever. Like, that mom, she was wild. And like, so, like, I think they like, part of me is really wondering like, why didn't they go that route? Because that had to be right in front of their face. Like, there's no way they didn't see that as an option to make the story go that way.
Yeah.
Of like, he doesn't reveal until the end. That's the twist.
I agree. Maybe because like that's been done before. Maybe that's like the expected thing to do. And so instead it's like, oh, new POV, new perspective from the perspective of the serial killer in the age of, post Breaking Bad and post Mad Men and post The Penguin, like post all these like anti-hero stories, like just really honing in that that's the POV. It's like from the serial killer and it's not about the twist, it's about the person. Because I'm trying to think too, like if he's, elevator pitch of what this movie is, it is interesting if you say like, oh, the FBI set up this trap at a concert, but we're from the perspective of the serial killer. That is like an interesting premise to grab onto, but then in like execution, especially like all the way down to the execution of the marketing campaign and everything, like it just kind of felt like it gave it away.
Yeah.
Instead of being, oh, this brand new perspective, this brand new entrance into this world, it just kind of felt like, oh, you gave away the twist.
Okay, so anyways, the role of music in concert settings building the cinematic tension.
This is interesting. I think we can also talk about casting.
Yes. If I could replace one role, she was probably busy with Wicked, but I think it'd be awesome if Ariana Grande was in that role.
Yeah, but the budget of this movie would have skyrocketed.
Yeah, but then that would have, like I said earlier, it would have been like, oh, Ariana Grande and M. Night? Like, oh, it's gotta be great.
Yeah.
My mind would go, I would go insane even after watching the movie, being like, oh, that was so genius. I don't even know why that was genius, but it had to be genius because no one else would have put all those superpowers together unless it was genius.
I do think Ariana Grande would kill it. Like, even with the more, like...
The acting.
The dramatic, like, acting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I feel like
just
she...
throw that name out there. I knew what I was saying.
And then she could give us some real good bops.
After I just saw it with Wicked, I know she would be...
She would kill it, but...
Convincing us.
Okay, she was a little busy.
She was busy.
So who else do you think could have...
Any
Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh,
that would have been awesome. She can act.
She can?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have taken even Hilary Duff. Like I would have taken.
I would have. That would have been amazing. It was Hilary Duff, Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne, hell yeah. I would. There's. I don't know. Okay, I'm trying to think who would be a good fit. Like who. Or
even okay, so. Who is in the role right now was M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, sorry if I'm mispronouncing, Salika Night Shyamalan, as Lady Raven. She is a R&B artist, so she's a singer. This was more pop, so I think she was doing songs a little bit outside of her usual genre. And I don't think acting is something that she has a lot of experience with.
I loved her performance.
So I would, exploring that because it was interesting. M. Night went in the direction of finding a singer.
Those outfits.
Finding a singer to do, and the thing is she's not just a singer in this part. The whole third act kind of sits on this character to do a lot of dramatic acting, to go toe-to-toe with Josh Hartnett. Like, it's a lot more than just a pop at this pop star's concert. Because, you could have plugged in any pop star to do a little cameo of being the whatever. But they turn into, a very pinnacle character. So, I mean, they could have just picked out a really, well-experienced actor who can also sing. A lot of actors can also sing.
Yeah.
And just turn them into a pop star.
Yeah.
But had them, I don't know, who would be, a very interesting actor and then be oh, they can probably sing too.
Donald Glover. Get Donald Glover in
It's
there.
at a Donald Glover concert.
Playing as the female pop star. Then genius.
Yeah.
Then that would be genius. I stand by that one.
Post Malone.
Post Malone. Even like Noah Khan. What was his?
Oh my god! Just folk indie
Folk
music.
Malone, yeah. Folk Malone too. I don't know. I think what really got it was there was a little bit of casting, some pretty ambitious casting choices here where it was like it really required some very trained acting right there, because it was like you see Josh giving it his all, having a very straight motivation of like, I'm trying to do this, and then you need an actor that's directly opposing him because that's what that character was supposed to do, and she just wasn't believable. And I think that's what the problem was, is it really took me out of the scene to be like, I feel like I'm watching half a movie when Josh, every time we see Josh, I'm feeling what's going on, but then it fizzles out every turnaround.
Yeah.
And I just think that, where people have their expertise, I think you got to think about that before you get into filmmaking, like before you start the production is what I mean.
Yeah.
And, play to your strengths, and, there's always going to be ambitious moves and big swings, but I think, as an audience member, and I didn't even know who she was at the time, like watching it, I was just like, I'm losing interest in this movie, and I think it's because of the performance, but I was confused. I was like, I like Josh though, and it was the counterpart. And so I think that speaks a lot to like chemistry and like, whatever was going on, the scene wasn't believable. And so I think that's the hard part, is because like you can have two really good actors, but if there's no chemistry, then the scene's not believable.
There was also like pacing issue because it would stop and kind of have this whole like pop performance halfway through. And she might be really big in the R&B scene, but as far as like pop goes, I don't think she's as mainstream. And so like stopping it to have this full concert didn't, I think, play as well as if it was someone that's already more mainstream, like an Ariana Grande, like a Sabrina Carpenter, even like a Tate McRae, something like that. If they wanted to go in that direction and then not have that, like if they wanted to go someone that's like expert in singing, do that, and then maybe not have their character be as relied on in the more like acting chops way, or do the opposite and hire someone like Kiernan Shipka to play a pop star who can really do those dramatic acting scenes, and then maybe like just have the pop singing in the background and not like stop the movie and do like a whole pop performance, like just kind of have it in the background, have the song be, really catchy so that it can play on social media or be the next trending TikTok song or whatever. Like you can make dance moves to it, do all of that in the marketing campaign if you're going to have a pop song in a movie. But I don't think you can, if you don't have someone that's like strong in both, don't have them do both.
Yeah. I think what would have been really cool is if in this scenario where we don't know who the killer is, but then we did have those like performances with like a pop star that, that's like very mainstream that we love, like an Ariana Grande or something like that, we would be fearing for her, because they would be so suspenseful, because we'd be like, oh my God, there's a murder in the building, and our beloved Ari is up there all alone, and she's singing her heart out, and what's going to happen to her? If we did go that route of like not knowing who the killer was, I think then those long performance scenes would have still kept me in the suspense, instead of, because I was like relaxing at those times.
Yeah.
It is important to be able to have those like beats where you're breathing as an audience member, because you can't just be like more and more and more suspenseful, or you're gonna freak out. And it's just like there's a point where you're like, I don't even care what happens anymore. Just I'm checking out, like for my own sanity. You need to have those beats in the film, in the pacing, in the writing, so that you can go up and down and up and down, and so I think that could be good. But during those moments, I was a little too relaxed, and I was a little bit more like, what am I watching right now?
There was like a really big opportunity too for like marketing and advertising to really, if they did go like the more like mainstream pop star route, to really push like a new album, a new single, a new whatever, like a new music video. Like
there were a lot of songs.
There were a lot of songs. There were a lot of like movement. I mean, the dancing was good. Like the songs weren't bad, but if it was someone a little bit more extreme that had that IP, I mean, that would have like that crossover. Yes, the budget might have been a little higher, but you'd get that return. And then you could also do crossover with the music videos, like with the, you know, all of that stuff. I mean, could have put, you know, more viral on TikTok. You make TikTok dances to it. You do trends, you do TikTok trends. Like, I feel like they could have really leaned into the pop star of it, especially right now in the age of like these pop star girlies are popping off with, you know, you see Renee Rapp and Tate McRae and Chappell Roan, like these like pop girls are like really popping off right now. And I feel like they didn't take advantage, like this whole movie kind of like set that up. And it didn't really take advantage of that in the year 2024 of like what's really going on.
Yeah. What do we got next? The ethical implications of using family members as unwilling accomplices.
I mean, not great.
It's not my favorite situation to be in.
I'd prefer not to be dragged around by my serial killer dad at my favorite artist's concert, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, this is heavily just on like the story, I guess. I don't really know how this would tie into like the business of it all, other than, you know.
I mean, it was a big part of like the marketing materials, because like the trailer starts off with him and his daughter cutely like going to the concert, like, oh, come on, Dad, we're gonna be late. And so it does set up this like family aspect, like in the trailer right on. So like you're expecting that that's like the main relationship or the main like struggle is going to be between that. And honestly, like it wasn't. Yeah, that was like a part of it. Like that kind of built up the stakes of like, is she going to find out is she not? And then like by the third act, it kind of comes around with like him being at the family. But it really was like more between like him and the detective lady.
Yeah. I do think it does attract like that element of he's a father and he looks like a good father, you know, looks like one, quote. It does attract men of that age to maybe relate to something like that. Like some fathers that have like teenage daughters or teenage just children. It's like you're going to relate to that and you might have some interest right there.
I guess it's kind of interesting. What do you think the main demographic was for this movie?
I think probably, I'm going to say 35 to 45 male and female.
But even with like the pop star aspect of it? Or because of the casting of the pop star?
I feel like there's like a gap. Like I feel like it's like 35 to 45 and then there's like 18 to 24 female. Like I think the pop star aspect is kind of on an island on its own. Like I don't think it totally tracks. I mean they made it make sense in the story, but like is it hitting strong to one type of demographic? No, I don't think so. But there's sectors and there's I think there's an older demographic who can relate to, you know, being worried about what's going to happen to your family. So you obviously have to be a little older to have a family and be a little older to relate to the older character that Josh Hartnett's playing. And then you could also be, a teen that likes concerts and venues and stuff like that, and you can relate to her just kind of like trying to have fun and, you know, having some issues with her friends being there, blah, blah, blah. Like, so I think you can be a teen and you can be a parent, I think. Yeah,
I feel like they were trying to go for, like 18 to 30 more female because of it being like a pop star and the young daughter and all that. But I think because the pop star wasn't as mainstream, wasn't known in like the pop fields, that it wasn't as successful. And I also think that like at the time, the same month that this was released, Alien Romulus was also released.
Yeah.
That has like a very similar, I mean, that's like a thriller suspense with horror with an already very big established IP. With very similar demographics. Maybe Alien's a little younger because it's like all kind of like teens, young adult age with the main characters, but then also the IP is older, so like nostalgia. So I feel like it was like very similar demographics.
Well, I think the difference there is like, it really just comes down to IP versus no IP.
Yeah.
Like Alien has been such a strong, like heavy hitter throughout the decades.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you get to have that kind of audience size when you've done the work like that for all these years. And with something like Trapped that's just brand new, like only the people that are looking at it face value can have any interest. They can't rely on anything else.
I mean, you can rely on M. Night, but
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, all right, the impact of mixed critical reviews on the film's financial success.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's huge, like especially in the nowadays of having to spend like at least $50 to go to the movie theater. You're gonna pick very wisely. Like, you're just gonna, if it's not like, I need to go see it, it's an event, especially if people really do think that the twist was given away in the trailer and they don't hear otherwise, I'm gonna save my $50 and see it when it's on Max. Like, I'm not gonna go to the theater.
Yeah, I think the one thing bringing me to the theater is excitement. It's like, personally, I just want to see something because I'm that excited. I can't wait. I just want to see it, and I want the best.
I don't want it to be spoiled for me.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't really care too much about spoilers, but I like making an event out of something I'm already excited about. So it's like, oh, a new Jack Black movie. I can't wait to like see it in the theaters so I can have my Twizzlers and my popcorn and my Coke, and I get to just sit down and have a great time watching it on the big screen. And it's like, that's what I'm there to do. I'm at the movie theaters because I am watching the movie, as opposed to you watching something at home. You can be doing anything at home, but it's like you go to the movies because you want to make it a big deal because it's a big deal to you. And when you already kind of know what's going on, it takes that kind of excitement away.
Yeah.
Because there's no curiosity left. There's no obvious curiosity left. I don't know what questions to ask. Like, I don't know what to be excited for because I feel like it was just taken away from the trailer.
Yeah. And if critics are like kind of saying that same thing, then you're going to be like, oh, I'll just wait until it's free.
Right. And then, well, even then I wasn't planning on watching.
Well, that's true too.
But I did have just enough intrigue from my friends to be like, oh, it wasn't bad. And I was like, oh,
not bad.
That can't be. I gotta take a look at this. Big impact from the critical reviews, especially when you're like teetering on the edge. It's like you're looking for a reason to not like it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or at least like not go spend money on it.
Right. And so it's like you hear a little inkling of no, or 30% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. It's like,
I think it was like 57.
Yeah. Well, just a bad percentage. And it's like, oh, well, that makes me make up my mind. So, The challenges of marketing a thriller with known plot twists.
Very hard. Don't give your plot twists away.
I think if you're going to do that, if you're going to give the plot away, or it's an IP, it's a remake or something where you know what's going to happen. If it's another Romeo and Juliet, type movie, or Romeo and Juliet like remake or something, then the things you're relying on are what's the fun in the game and the thing. So like, a Godzilla movie, they're all the same, but I love each and every one of them because they're all a little different because he gets bigger. He does bigger things. He has different challenges. There's other bad monsters. Like, the fun and games part of the story needs to keep me excited, and it has to intrigue me in the trailer. I have to know it's coming. Otherwise, what's the big deal about this one? And so
Yeah.
I think that's the big challenge in the marketing is like if you're gonna give it away, then I think you also have to tease some really fun stuff that I'm gonna want to see. Like you have
or
to
like
give
really
me something I
fun
want to see.
themes or really fun it's like a new perspective. But the way that the trailer even set it up, it was like they waited until like the end of the trailer to like give it away. Like if you were gonna go with this, instead like start your trailer with that. So that it's like, okay, I'm in the world. Like we're going through his perspective. That's the thing. And then like take me on the ride of like what's it like to be in the mind of a serial killer.
Yeah.
And let's go from there. And it's like, we've seen that successfully been done. We see it with You. We've seen it with Bates Motel. Like, there is, Dexter, like, there is an audience for it. And people really like it. But it's like, you do have to give them that in or something to, like, latch onto, whether it's like, oh, this brand new perspective or this brand new world. And instead, it was like a known world, a known trope, a known stereotype. It's just now we know the twist.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you just got to give people something to be excited about. And, you know, the thing about remakes is you already know what it's going to be. And like you were just saying, like if we knew from the beginning of the trailer what it was going to be, and then we were given something excited about, then, okay, I have some intrigue. I have some curiosity. I want to go watch it.
Yeah.
But tacking that at the end, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, and
What
it's
do I
like
do?
interesting that like once the movie's done and all of this, it was like they marketed it that way. And then also with the synopsis, like it leads with, he is secretly a serial killer known as the Butcher. But the movie doesn't really act like that. Like it still sets up the first 15 minutes like it's gonna trick us. And then it lets us know within like 20 minutes, I think, that he's a serial killer. But it's not like it starts off that way.
Yeah, even though we were given knowledge from them.
Even though we were given knowledge by the trailer and by like the synopsis. So like it feels like they were trying to do something post, like in the marketing, advertising, that they were trying to be like, oh no, like this is actually what the movie is. Go in with this perspective. But then the movie itself doesn't really serve itself to be that. So it was interesting.
That does make me think that maybe it was like a later decision, like with marketing or something, that I would be like, no, please.
I know. Don't do it. Because it
movie.
doesn't feel like the movie was written that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, what did you think you learned from analyzing this movie?
Yeah, honestly, I think I learned like a lot from this movie. So I gotta like thank M. Night for really like, you know, having an idea, pushing it all the way through, making it the best that he can, because, you know, it's a miracle any movie gets made, especially one with like that high of a budget. I mean, we hear about them all the time, but they don't just get made. They're insanely hard to strategize and logistically put together, and especially had to move it to a different country.
Yeah.
And all that. So it's like, and it does, like, success or fail, you learn from it. And then, like, you know, we get to look at it and speculate and learn from it from a distance and from a safe distance.
Yeah.
So I want to take from it, like, one thing I've always admired about M. Night is his big swings. And it's like, these days, if you're not making a big swing, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And of course, you're going to like miss in hilarious fashion a bunch of times. But I think that's worth doing, because when you finally do hit it, you knock
hit it big.
you knock it out of the park, and that's what everyone lives for. So it's like, would I rather do a bunch of like mid movies to kind of stay working and all that stuff? Like, I'd like to say no, but at the same time, it's like, if I could choose, I would want to do the biggest hits that have the biggest failures. And this isn't his biggest failure or a big failure.
Yeah, I know.
But like, I think, it's all about trying hard. And I think a lot of things went well here. And I think it's easy to critique the shortcomings because the highs were so high. And so it's like, we see Josh Hartnett and he's just like
killing it.
Yeah, he's killing it. And so like, we could see the
The potential, or like,
yeah, we could see the potential for growth in other areas
Yeah.
like so easily because he's just like that good, and like the direction is that good, and the cinematography is that good, and it's like, yeah, so it's easy to see the other stuff. I want to say, the biggest thing is when you're thinking about marketing your movie and thinking about how you're going to present your premise to the audience, really think about what it leaves your audience wanting. Because I mean, that's the biggest thing, is like you want them to want to see more. You want to tease. You have to be very particular with what you want to tease. And I think we've seen that, like, it's weird. We're seeing it a lot lately in the past, like 2 years, where trailers are giving the entire story away.
Yeah.
And it's like, or even sometimes we see every plot point and it's like, why would I want to go watch this now? Because I've just like seen that. And it's becoming a very popular thing. It's kind of confusing me because it's like when I watch it, it's like, yeah, there's more to the story, but
I just watched it.
I already kind of just like watched it. So now there's no element of like surprise, which surprise shouldn't be the biggest factor, but at the same time, it's
But
like
in a suspense movie, like,
that one, yes, that is
that's
probably
a
one of the
big
biggest
factor.
Yeah, and so I think really it's just like watch how you present your product and make sure you put yourself in the audience's shoes to think about what are they feeling, what do I want them to feel, and how do I make this the best experience for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's learning a lot about the marketing and advertising of the film and how much you give away and what you don't give away, and being strategic with that, and how to have your marketing materials really like serve your film or like bring your film up and like really like kind of like volley it up so the film can serve, and instead of like trying to fix it in the marketing or fixing it after post. But I feel no pun intended. But I think
that's why we call it
fix it after post. But yeah, I think instead having it really like having your trailer intrigue or like make your audience want to go see it without giving it away. And that's a fine line. And it's hard, especially because I think companies and networks nowadays, like, they really do want to make their money back, and they're putting a lot into this, and getting anyone to go to the theater is really hard in 2024. So they're like, give them more because we need to like hand feed our audiences. And I don't think that's the answer, but like I understand where they're coming from. But I think there's like other ways around it. But yeah, I think we learned a lot from analyzing Trap.
Yeah. Thanks, M. Night.
Overall, let us know what you guys think about Trap, if you agree or disagree with us, and let us know what other movies you'd be interested in us analyzing.
Very good. Let us know. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. We are going to... Which one are we going to do?
I have no idea.
Oh my God.
We'll
Stay
tuned.
Bye.